Oh, yeah. Alright, everybody. Bostonia plays video games. And here we are, February whatever, 2020. Um, Almost 2 months into the new year. Someone's obviously been here already. So, uh-oh. So today I want to talk about conspiracy theories, virtual cults, conspiracy theories, virtual cults, nihilism. It's a heavy day. It's a heavy day. So first, obviously, conspiracy theories. So, obviously, very fun to take a look at. I used to watch a lot of conspiracy videos on YouTube. And basically, some of these ideas have been proven anyway. Operation Mockingbird is, CIA's involvement in print and television media, and how they were, manipulating information, stuff like that. Then you have new ones, which 9/11 is obviously. Uh-oh. Boom. 9/11 is very similar to the JFK conspiracy as far as, how many theories there are. And the interesting aspect of the 9/11 one is that there's so much, video. And, of course, with YouTube, there's so much archived footage. You can really break it down and take a look. But when it comes to conspiracy theories and, whether they can be proven or not proven, and most of conspiracy theories, I think, are based on, the government lying and stuff like this. I kind of agree with, I don't kind of agree, I do agree with Matt Taibbi on this one, where, we have a lot of theories about, 9/11. But at the same time, the stories of weapons of mass destruction that we were claiming that Saddam Hussein and Iraq had was proven to be a lie. So here we have something that's already proven to be a lie, and yet we are focusing on 9/11, whether or not it was an inside job. It's like, well, if the purpose of 9/11 is to uncover the fact that the government would lie, well, we already have that with weapons of mass destruction. So where is the reaction to that? Where is the, why can't we get together on something like that, which has already been proven, instead of consistently going over some of these conspiracy theories that really can't be proven or won't be proven, or the 9/11 Commission. There's some shady stuff there. It wasn't a big exploration of what actually happened, and I think a lot of people agree with that. But it's it's the same thing with the Warren Commission and all that kind of stuff. So, so that's really just the foundation to this argument. So I'm bringing up 9/11. It's one of the big conspiracies. Flat Earth is getting a lot of traction. There's actually people who are pretty high profile in the United States who have also claimed that the world is flat. And when I first heard the theory, I was like, what is this? Earth is flat. What are you talking about? So, of course, I researched, what flat Earth is, and what people were talking about, and what kind of evidence they had as far as, flight patterns and stuff like that. And then I immediately left it because to me, there's so many things going on. Let's go back to... There's so many things going on in the world to focus on that one thing in particular. And then again, it's like, okay, so let's say it's proven that the Earth is flat. Okay, what's the purpose? Again, it's to uncover the fact that we've been lied to. Okay, fine. Well, again, we can go back to weapons of mass destruction. We were lied to, definitely. Again, there's been reports to come out that have been declassified, like Operation Mockingbird, that the CIA did have in the late 70s. I think it came out that they had influence over media. They ran Radio Free Europe. And probably still do. I don't know. I mean, the other thing is, if we can turn into conspiracy theory just for a moment. I mean, RT America is, the studios are in the United States. So if we're that concerned about Russia, yet we have Russian news like right here in the it doesn't make any sense. And where is this information coming from? I mean, Chris Hedges is on RT America. He's a famous he was a famous Timesman. He wrote for the New York Times, and he's written quite a few, in my opinion, great books. He does lean left, obviously, but he's on RT. So I don't know. I don't know about that stuff. But anyway, okay. So sounds like somebody's around here. So this is kind of what I want to get to. This is my new crib. I've kind of I've made it so it's not so damn big. I understand. I mean, that's not cool. Like, this is in the fucking, certainly not, wouldn't be realistically stable. In the real world. But, I got everything I need. I got this. I got got a little dipsy-do here. Should put a chair here, I guess, maybe. Uh-oh. Somebody's around. It gives me some protection, and again, I can, Alright, where is this clown? Let's see if I can, Okay, so conspiracy theories. So there is a psychological, I think there has to be a psychological kind of foundation to even be attracted in an obsessive way towards this kind of what I consider to be a virtual. Wow, I got a lot of junk here. To be kind of a virtual cult. Okay, so most of the people who I've seen who are making these conspiracy videos, they're not in a beautiful, and not that this matters, but I think it's part of the psychology. They're not in a beautiful penthouse in New York City talking about stash box full, holy shit, talking about conspiracies. A lot of people who this capitalist system is working for, isn't going to get into this stuff. It's really, in my opinion, this kind of disenfranchised community who start making these videos, and it gives them an identity, because then all of a sudden people are watching them, commenting on their theories. Basically reinforcing what they're doing, making them feel like they're somebody, and making them feel like they're having some sort of an impact on, the thoughts of people, but also like they matter, like they're not invisible. And I think with the advent of and the progression of technology, isolation has become, a little bit more widespread. So I think that's really the psychological foundation. Now, a lot of people are just, I get it. A lot of people are just interested. But the people who are really passionately going after these theories, like they're uncovering, the way the world works and how the elites operate, and again, I mean, I watch these videos and I think they're fun. But I'm not taking them, too seriously because, again, I just don't think a lot of these things are even worth, they're only worth a small amount of time. Now, um, and then I want to get into nihilism because I think nihilism too, plays into this. And then how do we get to? Well, let's just talk about it now. How do we get to nihilism? How do we get into this kind of belief in, or I don't want to say belief in nothing. I want to say that we don't believe in anything because the evolution even of religious doctrine, I think, and maybe I'm going way too far out of my expertise here, but science kind of takes over, and it's much harder to believe in, or our belief in God or gods or whatever. Has kind of taken a back seat, obviously, because now we're more focused on reason and evidence, and the evidence obviously just doesn't support it. And of course we've broken the Earth barrier into outer space. So that's just another thing where if you believe somebody's sitting there in the sky watching your every move, it becomes a little harder to believe once we've broken the atmosphere and seeing that there's just a bunch of space beyond Earth. And on top of the fact that I think religion just really ran its course. I mean, I know, when I was younger, I rebelled against, the teachings of the church and stuff like that for the most part because it was just boring to go to church, I think, and then it becomes enticing to kind of go against religion because, all these older people that you're surrounded by do believe, in some of those things. And but I think when you get older, you start going back to a belief system that does incorporate some of the stories from religious texts because you kind of need it, I think, as you get older, and you kind of put these stories into perspective. But anyway, into nihilism, though, I think there's three things going on. I think technology has led to some sort of what I consider to be subconscious nihilism. I don't think we consciously recognize, nihilism because our environment is so filled with, advertisement and, positive psychology quotes like "you can do it" and all this other stuff. So it does appear like we have a belief system, but our belief system is really, it's heavily attached to what the goals of capitalism are, or at least the preservation goals of capitalism, which is, go out and buy something, be an individual, because if you're an individual, then you will buy something and then the other individual will buy something, so you can have a car and everyone in the house has a car and stuff like that. The other thing is market driven as well, as far as consumerism. I think does lead to nihilism in a sense because products are made to have, a limited shelf life because you need to keep buying these products in order for corporations to survive. So I think it was learned, that when you make something that's going to last you 40 years, that's not really great for the bottom dollar or for your shareholders who require, profit. And see the spreadsheet and wants to know that you're up, this much, in a quarter. So I think within the population, when you get used to consuming, throwing away, consuming and throwing away, that inherent value is diminished. And I think that has a psychological effect, where I think it has a psychological effect on trust. And I think, again, having all these things that are, consumed and then thrown away, Um, Man, I forget the word for it, and I wish I could. I wish I could define it with just one word. Um, that we lose our faith in longevity, um, and we're constantly in a state of consumerism, um, and we know that the product that we buy um, is going to lose its value quicker than we would hope. So, and this has gone on obviously with cell phones too, because you want to go out there and buy a cell phone. Well, the 8 or the 9 is coming out in 3 months, so you're not going to have the best one, and it's going to have a better camera, and it's just like this complete. It generates as a kind of a complete mistrust. Excuse me, and then. I think it also creates kind of a subconscious nihilism where yeah, so and hopefully within this video I can explain that a little bit further, because I don't know if I'm really hitting my point the way that I would want to hit my point, because I think nihilism is very much connected to consumerism, because we're constantly, we don't know what's really valuable. A car is going to die, a phone's going to die, the TV's only going to last 7 years. Bigger and better things are going to, I mean, if you've ever been in a position to buy a DSLR camera, it's this very stressful position to be in, because this camera's coming out in 3 months, and this has this stabilization, and this can do 4K 60p 4K. This one can't, but it has a better autofocus system, and then this one's gonna. It's unbelievable the anxiety that you can go through just trying to make a big purchase. So a big car purchase, a big TV purchase, certainly a house, but I think that's a little bit different. Also within this consumerism, capitalism is look at the job market. So I mean, gone are the days that people think they're going to be with a company for 50 years. Gone are the days where it's like, oh, not that that was necessarily a good thing either, to be get out of high school and then be in a assembly line factory for 40 years. But there's really no security there. I mean, you can have a high-paying job, $130,000, $150,000 a year, and HR can be, hovering over your desk, if you're not careful. So, unfortunately, those type of jobs, you don't sign like a 10-year deal, like you would, Major League Baseball or something, which maybe, is something that we might want to start considering. That's part of our negotiation. So, well, actually, I haven't really thought that one out, so I don't know if I should say anything like that yet. But, okay, so nihilism, and then let's get into virtual cults, and hopefully I'll be able to get my point across with nihilism a little bit better. So I think what happens with nihilism, with what I consider to be the invisible man, which is or woman, the invisible person, is this kind of disenfranchised, forgotten about. I mean, these people really do. There really is a large portion of the population that's like that. And they feel forgotten about. They feel economically strapped. They're constantly getting this positive psychology view, where pick yourself up from your bootstraps and all that stuff, and all that is very romantic and nice. But sometimes that's just not possible. If you just don't have a couple of the tools that you need in order to do that. What I mean is, maybe a solid family, maybe a a better system of education, maybe a couple more paths to kind of get you where you need to be. So I think this invisible person attaches themselves. I also, it's such a complicated. It's such a complicated subject because you also have to go into what mental illness is, I think, in the United States, and what contributes to mental illness. And I think capitalism in some ways, because I'm not a kind of person who's gonna sit here and blame capitalism for everything. I mean, it's an experiment. It's a system. We're trying it out. We're seeing if it's the best one. So far, it's been able to give people opportunities and stuff like that. Try and build their own life in their own way. Within the economic boundaries of this experiment. But if you want to look at social media, you want to look at behavior, addiction, obsession, and then also negative reinforcement and negative reinforcement and shit. I lost my train of thought here. Negative reinforcement and disappointment. And what I mean by disappointment is the fact that, there are a lot of ideas out there of what makes a person of dignity, of worth. Again, there's this culture of quotes that is constantly reinforcing focus and determination and will and all these things that really are are just really things that preserve capitalism. I mean, if we really take a look at it, I mean, it keeps the system alive because you're blaming yourself for not having work ethic or not staying focused or not being disciplined with your time, not being productive. You're supposed to be productive for 60 hours a week while you're at work, and then with your time off you need to be productive, and it's all this kind of like self-blame and that you're not doing the right thing, and then you look, because I've been there too, and then you're looking to although I don't have a major problem with disciplining myself, so every once in a while I'll look to somebody who has been able to succeed in a particular area and see what they did, or what kept them going, or something like that. So it is useful. It does have its uses, but I also think that it leads to this kind of mental state, and that leads to this mental state of guilt and blaming yourself and kind of all those things that are attached to your identity, which is unfortunate. And I think that leads to and a kind of this undefined mental illness, because also with the way psychology has evolved, we categorize all of these different psychological functions. So actually, maybe I should do that. Options. How do I get to this fucker? What was I just gonna do? I can't remember now. So yeah, there is Savage Divide. Let's go there. 9 caps. I'm ready. So there's all these different factors, I think, that lead into... Oh, excuse me. So, the evolution of psychology has... Now there's a myriad of categorizations of psychological processes that I think also overwhelm the individual, where it's ADHD or ADD or, all these different kind of definitions for behavior. And, again, it's something that... Well, I didn't decline it. I just don't know how to fucking do it. Maybe somebody can help me. I mean, I press options. It should just go there. Okay, so we're doing an event. Oh, look at you. So, you know, so that leads to a sense of self that's not necessarily healthy either. And all of these categorizations, of course, and, you know, if boom, you're done. Come on, this dude should be done. Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, man. Come on, run, homie. Oh, nice. Oh, good. Let's give a little hello. Yeah, so, let me just make sure. Oh, good. Wow. Oh, it's not the source. Okay, fine. Oh, fuck. What the fuck? Alright, what the fuck? Nice. I don't need any of that? It's crazy. Who is shooting at me? So where would the other one be? Who is this fucking guy? Fuck you. Fuck out of here. Mr. Gutsy? Fuck out of here. Alright, so yeah, that leads into, you know, a version of the self that might not be extraordinarily healthy, and then I think that leads to, you know, trying to find subcultures that that make you feel better about yourself. So, you know, you find communities that believe in the same thing, and of course, these ideas, number one, are exciting. Number two, come with a certain sense of pride, because, you know, I think once people get involved with these conspiracy theories, it's like they're helping, you know, humanity, or, you know, opening people's minds, or whatever. And you know, I do think there's a certain I think there's a certain that does provide a certain function, a certain positive function. But again, I don't. I do think it's unhealthy if it gets to a point that is obsessive, or oh, this looks like a little house here. Obsessive, or really, you know, the dominant thing in your personality, I guess. So, or the thing that defines you is, you know, trying to open people's minds, or whatever the fuck. So, oh, maybe this isn't a person's thing. No, it's just a place. I'm kind of losing my train of thought. I don't know how this. Oh boy. Come on. Come on, hit him. That's what I wanted to check anyway. Voice chat mode, none. Okay, good. All right, well, let's refocus here. Let's refocus. Let's figure out what I want to say here. So virtual cults, and I think the main factors of virtual cults, again, is nihilism, disenfranchisement, mental illness, and I don't, I'm not trying to paint these subcultures in like a negative light. I just think it's very interesting that we as a country have so many, and Noam Chomsky points this out, and I believe this was even before. I don't even think he was talking about virtual cults, which is, something that is something that I consider them to be. I don't even know if the word's been used before. But he was saying that the United States has more cults than any other nation as far as his research was concerned, which again is a very fascinating thing. Fuck out of here. Come on now. Come on now. Take it easy. Take it easy. What's the matter, you? What's the matter, you? What's the matter, you? Purified water? I think so. Hey, come on. What's the matter, you? How about you take a seat? I don't need any of that garbage. Where the fuck am I? I'm at an ice cream parlor? Let's go. What's this door? Oh, it's to the other side. What's the matter, you? Okay, so, yeah, so I just think it's very interesting that, this could be the case in what we consider to be almost the pinnacle of human civilization to this point in history. And we have the most cults. So, and again, I don't know where he's getting that information from. I do trust, Chomsky, that he's researched that before he made a statement like that. But I don't know for sure. But I do see, that's almost, especially with flat Earth. I mean, you have conventions and you do this, and I think it's the same thing with 9/11. And that's not just to discredit any of these working theories. I don't believe the Earth is flat, and I don't care if it is or not. I don't. So, and 9/11, I agree with Matt Taibbi here, where I think it's kind of a worthless thing to even think about when we already have information that the government lied to us. And then the thing that I'm really interested in, though, is what the mental state that is attracted to virtual cults, and what is it in our culture, in our civilization, that is, directing people in this way. And, I think one of the easier things to point out, again, is disenfranchisement. But we have to consider all different types of psychological maladies, I guess you could say, that contribute to some of this stuff, And again, it's not for the casual viewer of conspiracy theory. It's for people who are making this their life's mission. That I think, and I don't think it's scary, but I think that people point out, like, the progressive left, and sometimes they say some stupid shit because it's just not historically accurate, and it feels like you just stepped out of a surface level history class and started regurgitating some things that you didn't completely have a grasp on, to have an opinion about. And to be honest, when I got out of college, I did the same thing. And you might even think this video is the same thing, but you know, the fact of the matter is, nowadays, I don't think that my opinion is the end-all, be-all, and I also don't think I'm an expert in anything. This is my opinion on the matter. Yeah, I'm a well-read guy. I think I have. Oh, that seems cool. I think. Okay, let's do it. You know, I'm certainly not an authority on anything, and as you can probably tell. But, you know, I mean, these are just things that I'm interested in. I mean, I am interested in why people would gravitate towards, you know, things that, you know, can't be proven, and, you know, things that are kind of fun to, what is this now? Missing. Last scene. Oh, this is part of the fact. So anyway, that's and you know, this kind of stuff also leads to, you know, Trump and Bernie Sanders. Like, you know, again, I think that, you know, it's disenfranchisement. There's this fucking belief in a lot of this shit that's leading us to. We have to consider the idea that why would we want someone to tell us what to do? You know, I understand. I believe in government and I believe in civilization. I really do. You know, I believe in the organization of society, so that it has, you know, a common goal, and you know, it's a way to communicate with each other through language, through technology, to try and understand each other, and to try and give each other, you know, a decent life on this planet, you know, because you know, it hasn't always been this way as far as, you know, famine is concerned, as far as disease is concerned, you know, serfdom, even in you know, in other times in history where it was just basically rich and then poor, period. You know, it wasn't any of these kind of tiers of economic definition. You know, it was just one or the other. And so, you know, it does fascinate me. And it's always good to take a look too, I think. But to get back to my point, it does fascinate me that every 4 years that, you know, we try and kind of choose a master. Where I just feel, I mean, how much confidence do we have in ourselves? You know what I mean? Like, how much true confidence do we have in ourselves? I mean, we want a good representation of us. Okay, fine, I guess. But seeing what happened in 2016 and seeing what's probably going to repeat itself in 2020. And I want to go over one more point as far as, you know, some people are saying that Trump might refuse to leave office or something, so I want to go over that briefly. But yeah, so as far as what I see in Bernie and Trump, it's kind of you know, two sides to the same coin, because it's, again, it's disenfranchisement. It's these belief systems that have gone completely out of whack, sourced in, again, mental illness and how can I compare? It's like, you know, you have a Trump supporter who, you know, is yelling about borders and yelling about this and that, and of course this is the extreme version of a Trump supporter, and then the extreme version of the Bernie supporter is yelling about things that are just as mentally disturbed, you know, and it seems, you know, and again, it's like you go on Twitter, it's just, I feel like it's an arena of mental illness. And it's like an insane asylum, you know, half of this stuff, especially when it goes over politics. Unless you're following people who have professionally gone over politics, you know, like, again, Matt Taibbi, I like, or, you know, I like people on the right and left, and I want to say I like them, but I at least, you know, take a look at them so I can see, you know, what both sides are thinking. But The other thing, and I guess one of the insane things to me is this Trump is going to deny leave. I can't see that happening. I mean, the fact of the matter is, he just doesn't have. Unless it was really orchestrated by all the intelligence agencies and all the corporations and all this stuff, just for theater. I mean, that's insane. I mean, we have too many institutions that are more important than the presidency. Um, what's he going to do? Just stay in the White House? I mean, that is a crazy idea, And if you think that, let me know why you think that, you know, um, because I think that's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. I mean, that's delusional. That's absolutely delusional. And I heard this at work the other day. Animal control report. Okay. And I couldn't believe it. I was floored. I was like, "Holy shit!" Not that my opinions. Can I just take this? Yeah. So anyway, basically what I wanted to say was, and I don't think I clarified my opinions on nihilism enough, but I think I think we're running rampant with subconscious nihilism. I really do. I don't know where our belief system is at this point. I know that we believe in the self, and that's been pushed by the market so that we buy more things. We believe in these kind of capitalist ideals of being productive. Being healthy, but in this weird way. You see all these YouTubers and Instagrammers, focused on fitness and stuff like this. So we kind of believe we're very Roman, I think, because if you look at the Romans, it's, they were warlike, they were great engineers, they set up a good civilization for themselves, but then they copy and paste, the religion from the Greeks, and it really had no real belief outside of, we'll just copy this. It's, I don't know how much the Romans really. It's the Greeks had a great passion for, the gods, and through their literature, you can tell that, it was a source. Of life for them. They actually believed it. Whereas the Romans, not so much, And one of my professors actually had a great point where it's like, well, you have all this Greek literature and Greek philosophers and stuff like that. And, it didn't really come out of Rome as much. It just didn't. Great poets, great writers, great thinkers weren't as numerous as the Greeks. And that's not to say, I mean, here, I don't know what they had in their day, because here it's like, Hunter S. Thompson and Ernest Hemingway and all these people. Well, I mean, is history really going to remember them too? I mean, maybe the Romans had people like that who were just highly regarded, and then they were just forgotten. It didn't ring it didn't hit as many chords for overall history that the Greeks did. And that could be the case too. I mean, is the sun also rises really gonna be something that 400 years from now is going to be something that's, forget about 2,000 years from now. So that could be the case too. But whenever I'm reading Roman history, ancient Rome, it did feel like they had a crisis of belief. They had much like we have. They have sporting events and things that divided people, and bread and circus, as they call it, and keeping people distracted, keeping people warlike, having having a police force that kept people, for the most part, in line. Event completed. There you go. Boom. Done. What do I get? Cooking oil. I'm ready. Oh, that Martha's letter. So, let's see. I think that's it for me. I think, and again, I want to try and explain and explore nihilism a little bit more. But again, it is part of what I sense is this kind of Nihilism. It's a dedication to the ideals of capitalism, and you know, and and when you dedicate, I think, like again, the Greeks, their belief system went above politics. It went above politics, and they're trying to hash things out. You know. And for us, I think science has really, and I'm not knocking science at all. I mean, but I think it has led us to kind of this Marxist take on everything. If you think religion is the opiate of the people, the science has really been able to, and I understand there's a huge, we always go over it every 4 years, this huge voting base that's very Christian, and so it's not like all the entire country is. This doesn't represent the entire voting population, but and you know what? Well, I'm just going to end it there because I don't know where I really want to go with this, but hopefully I can when I edit this video, I can try and yeah, and maybe you can help me too. Maybe you can leave some comments what you think nihilism is, if you think it exists at all, or if you think I'm completely wrong. Let me know what your ideas are, and let me know if you think if there's a subconscious nihilism. Let me know if you think that virtual cults exist, if it's a product of disenfranchisement and mental illness. There you go, 250 picks. I love it. Yeah, so you guys take care of yourselves. I try and do a video every week because Monday through Friday I am working, and I love that, and I love just kind of sitting down for a second and trying to get my thoughts together, what I've been thinking about, and what I've been reading, and stuff like that. So let me know your comments down below, and we can start a discussion about it. So thank you very much.